last class sapin kha textbook apala diagram so may mo mutheyam alright chiang deu ma en vewa hai sunga ken ka I draw na pena chu aliana ki drawing din chiang ma le so lobules tiam cha lobules ti chu compartments ma le compartments sunga kha seminiferous tubulesum waya kha cells Sertoli cells to bang spermatogonia ma spermatogonia in kha sperm form Sertoli cells in kha maturation apan pi mo abana sperm son por keta reed testis cho hai thank you mona pin reed testis abana hai azung taka iwa sai friends ya banang pa engine ha epididymis ya ule ki store mole store temporary ya hawa ki store cha abanang pa to coil vast difference mo ban hai zun bom ureter hita tuang pa su engine ha yang pa na kha thil dang tir kha kele on pa di ki mix di chi cha ki mix na seminal vesicle in bang hiam pia cha fructose calcium enzymes mo habana bulboretrial same thing lubrication pia prostate haile to pair its testis le pair male habana ungpai sugin chin hai pin kha foreskin a cover pin kha hai I concept pin kha mo hai amuga a concept pin kha glands penis ki chi glands penis pin kha concept a skin pin kha sa pin kha foreskin chi ki chi so that is how here also see a scrotum pin kha a bomb mo a pouch like in chin testis pin kha sungaum bang jaga ya abdomen apa apula mam hi mi chile human temperature sang kha 2 to 2.5 hours zong ngai male so here all this so this is it tun seminiferous tubules and like Sertoli cells te mo nar cells te cha ban spermatogoa te alian chin to spermatozoa sperm swak ta mal ha mature ta cha interstitial cells a hilo le Leydig cells kha apola mo hai ki kal mo asung hilo polama san pina ha para hormone root in chin so that they can start the process of spermatogenesis tun female and lay we can divide again into like the structure of the male we can divide into the primary thing and the accessory primary sex organ pian bang na accessory helping hand demo bang ni naging tawa le testis equivalent no maya bang pair of ovaries mom so left and right arm aning ka cha left and right arm chin bana alefa pada ovam pot mo tu kha abana right a khaki da pot abana alternate right pot mo achile to alexa oviduct so mention ya oviducts which is same with fallopian tube mo ducts che bang kachita tube mo DUCTS oviducts fallopian tube bana uterus le mo na chu ovaries to na ki bang lawi chang helam omdi uterus le zilngai uterus sunga nawum ti chang abana sperm ti le lu to na di cha vagina pada uterus sa lu dio bana fallopian tube ba ki mu dio ya mala so uterus le thengai chu mga layers te oi cervix asunga ampen mo asunga kachi chu uterus ban che da vagina asunga ampen kha cervix abana vagina abana polom ampe kha external genitalia external genitalia chi changa khawai a flap like structure ki chama sa pawa kha skin cover te kha asunga kha pinkish reddish color per kha oi te kha a cover omo aliana bananio so it's like we have mons pubis mala fatty ama kha tampia kha fatty acids fats ngane chu mala mons pubis kichi fatty tissue abana we have labia majority All these are flap-like structures. Minora. Bana hymen. Vagina membrane khadin cover in chin pan khadin hymen. Bana clitoris, a sensitive region pin kha clitoris. Atunga pin tungzo. So external genitalia. External apolama. Asunga. So these are the two types of reproductive system, primary sex organ to accessory glands there. Now let's go to ovaries. Ovaries, ovum or egg, form. This will be interrelated with menstrual cycle, which will be seen in the next topic. And not to forget to mention the hormones. Hormones to relate dan apoy mo dan pituitary gland, GnRH, same thing like testis. Male pada signal pian chinabana ovary hormones the estrogen, progesterone take form, puberty hit jang kumsom le thum abaite kumsom le li ale kumsom le nga ale mo the kibang teklo. So puberty hit jang all this process will start process of forming the ovum every month, right? So pair of ovaries bangom asunga fun entale ovary khatso jotale mo pair of ovaries where is it? See, is it visible or is it not visible? Okay, see, now we are going to talk about red pin ovaries pangoma. Main primary sex organ, adang tissue accessory like the uterus, divided into endometrium, myometrium, perimetrium. Endometrium pin inner lining men's horn pot na pin Van ovary to reproductive system uterus outer covering to kizome ligaments so blood vessels they are ligaments in with the ligaments they are connected, all right. Fallopian tube is oviduct isthmus and pula fertilization infundibulum in we have finger-like projections known as fimbria. What is the function? They will collect the ovum from the ovary. Clear? And it will go up and stay here to wait the sperm. Female reproductive system diagram na ki practice uterus fundus to outer bulging on bulge here bulging the pit uterine fundus kichi na bulging part bana kachi banga cervix vagina masang de cervix asunga minchin a canal vagina vagina para sperm load leki bang tho labia minora, labia majora, fatty acids. The sperms will enter here through the vagina. They will go to the uterus. Uterus apadaha, fallopian tube. Isthmus ampulla region ovum bamudi. 200-300 million sperms will go and one will fertilize the ovum. Structure. To ovaries why ovum te bang chiki forma. Then we are going to see how is the ovum formed. Here, how is the ovum formed. Ovaries abulapat ki panle uma uterus uma inuten numei hile uma what happens is that there are lots and lots of small atang lum new tam injin white bangkichi follicles kichi Amasapina white cells ovum form tailing cell pen in male banga spermatogonia spermatogonia this is it will give rise to sperms, remember to aya female ugonia kichi bangkichi This is the mother cell, the female germ cells, all right? 46 diploid chromosome in number, same thing, same like spermatogonia, oogonia. Akibat law na chu spermatogenesis to akibat law na chu ayaka. Atamzo ka inu sul sunga oblaya para ka high cells te katam piki form da. Pasal tia chu bang puberty pada ke form ya mole ahiya. Puberty ki form ya ka mga pada ki form fetus akibat law na ka. The first point of difference, fetus iya pada ka ya ka ki form ta ahiya. Fetus sa ka piki form. If fetus chu bang, that means inside the mother's womb, hello. Inside the mother's womb. Hay ka kibalaw na oogonia cells te khatam piki form ta. Then hay ka oogonia cells in ka. Let's say this is the oogonia. So many oogonias were there, all right? And then asing may oogonia cells te ka. Hay ka bangahon form de chile. They start forming covering pin ha bang kichi granulosa cells kichi. Hey, this is happening inside ovary, all right? Bang kichi granulosa cells. Granules to bang mo. Layer form ta. Why ha bang kichi primary follicle kichi amasapin ha mo. Tamatam mo primary follicles. Hatsaw ki joy mo primary follicles ki form. Primary granulosa cells called primary follicles. Hey, kabagza ako ngomay chile 60,000 to 80,000 in number. Primary follicles kata matam malan. So now we are forming what follicles. Male a follicles sunga bangoma. A follicles sunga bangoma. May ka ovum medyo ovum te ka asunga ma. So we call it oocyte. Alright, amin bang oocyte kasi sungam pin ha oocyte. So abana haya pin ha oocyte sini mo primary oocyte, which will form the egg or ovum mole. So oocyte pin ha asunga a covering pin ha bang follicles ha cells in cover non kit ha bang granulosa cells kasi, so it is known as follicles mole asunga ha bang primary oocyte. Ja hunong paito zel chinwaya ha bangahan form chile secondary follicles on ki form dia bana tertiary bana mature Graafian follicle mala. So secondary follicle, same thing. You have many secondary follicles. Mom bana tertiary follicle tun nga ito alaw chit a cells de kha asunga kha cells tampia medyo male like cells why kha a cells de kha hon ki push tai jo aning lama hon ki push janga kha asunga kha fluid chi janga tui male tui khon ki form tadi a cells de aning lama ngom tadi unchin. So they will form like this part will be the fluid, there should be the cells mo kha primary oocyte hay fluid pin kha bang kichi entrum kabang fluid field, all right, fluid field. Mancan the fluid field on ki form thai je cells de khan ki push mo aning lama on ki full siang ha tui lu ta tui ovary apa tui te lu ta mo tui lu fluid pen ha entrum bon ki chi abana ha tertiary follicle ki chi che hai. Mature dekta the shape and the size becomes bigger, and then they form the mature Graafian follicle, which has the entrum. Inside there will be secondary oocyte. Inside secondary oocyte. Umding ang Graafian follicle kichita mo. Graafian follicle chubang mature tachi na. Amin ka a scientist pa amin kipya mo Graafian follicle. High process bang siya gaw majajo secondary oocyte pin ka ovary pa dahon por kheli male fimbria of the infundibulum penikha ana collect dima wai kha bangnia menstrual cycle a yen changa kha ani somleli mens na ni zo mens na ni nia para kha simlechin ani somleli kha ovum or secondary oocyte kha ki release di 14 day nia azang chu hormone LH ki khado mention wai kha luteinizing hormone hain kha why LH hormone kha sang jin why sang changa kha secondary oocyte will be expelled out of the ovary. So secondary oocyte bin ha to release that on the 14th day of menstrual cycle. 14th day because of the LH surge SURZH LH hormone sang dungzuya kha secondary oocyte kha hon ki release ta cha achile to kha to hai pe kha secondary oocyte kha if it gets fertilized by the sperm fine, if it doesn't then it will come out male. If it gets fertilized by sperm, then we call it ovum, fertilized egg, and the ovum and the sperm will form the zygote. Yeah. So that is how the follicles are formed. How follicles are formed asunga habang primary oocyte to secondary oocyte ki form. Secondary oocyte kha ovum on swak wai kha on ki expel out pin kha secondary oocyte and hidana chu on excuse me. On ki fertilize nga habang ki ovum. All right. So just like from the womb of the mother, we have lots and lots of oogonia, right? Oogonia, which are the mother cells, and these oogonia cells they'll have a covering known as granulosa cells, and inside the primary oocyte will be there, and then to form into secondary follicle. Tertiary follicle will have antrum, the fluid field, which will be coming from the ovary. And then we have secondary oocyte inside the follicles. And the secondary oocyte will be released on the 14th day of menstrual cycle because of the LH hormone. And if it is fertilized by the sperm, then it is the fertilized egg, which is known as ovum or oocyte. And if it is not fertilized, then it will come out as it is more. Then we have what? Menses and all those. Yai process banga hormone are responsible. The hormone responsible for the follicular development, follicles development in we call it FSH. Don't forget. What is the hormone responsible for the maturation and development of the follicles? We have follicle stimulating hormone FSH. And then we have another what is that? Hormones in females. We have estrogen in the ovary and progesterone. Yeah, estrogen, progesterone, estrogen responsible for all this process plus secondary sexual characters, hairs, high pitched voice, so all those also estrogen. But the progesterone pinahila. Tampia and endometrium uterus endometrium pinha aligning pinha thick na dinga in case because every month we are preparing for the uterus is preparing if the egg is fertilized or not. If it is fertilized, then we have to make the endometrium of the uterus thick so that the baby can be implanted. The embryo can be implanted. So progesterone later be produced uterus so that they are ready for the fertilized egg to come and stay in the uterus in the form of embryo. So progesterone is important, estrogen is important. These are the female hormones. Don't forget progesterone, endometrium, thickening for the preparation of the pregnancy. Estrogen, process of this formation of the ovum oogenesis formation of oogenesis important plus secondary sexual characters and the hormone which is responsible for the follicular development FSH heads down the one by tun graphene follicle secondary oocyte on release then we have we call it what? The structure which doesn't have the secondary oocyte. Why structure pin khabang kichi? Corpus luteum. Yellowish color mo. Corpus luteum. Corpus luteum in kha it will degenerate and they will form corpus albicans. White color only, and then baby may mo. Corpus albicans. So that is how the formation of oocyte happens. Siyan mo, tun, kasi banga ka, hormone sa ka, how does it control? Kibang to spermatogenesis to, GnRH, mala. Brain na, abana it will go to the anterior pituitary gland, and they will secrete two hormones known as follicle stimulating hormone and LH. Mala LH, luteinizing hormone, and FSH. And it will help in follicular growth. Follicular growth and maturation. Primary, secondary, tertiary, Graafian follicle. Inside this we have what? Primary oocyte. Inside this we have what? Secondary oocyte, which will be released on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. About LH ka, it is present the whole time, but on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle, then it will be produced in such a huge amount that what happens is that the secondary oocyte will come out. Which is also equal to ovum if it is fertilized. Why secondary oocyte, when it is released on the 14th day, that process is known as ovulation. What is ovulation? The release of the secondary oocyte on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle because of LH surge. Because of LH surge. Surge changa chu thakara tamatpam mo. Production of the hormones katamwa azaka secondary oocyte either on the right or the left ovary, it will come out and it will be catched by the fimbriae of the fallopian tube, infundibulum, and it will stay in the region waiting for the sperm if coitus takes place. So we have hormonal control, we have the follicular development. All right, now the next thing is the formation of the oogonia to ovum. Just like spermatogenesis, what is equivalent in female? We have spermatogenesis, spermatogonia, give rise to sperms. Yeah, 4 sperms. We have oogenesis. Same thing. So what is oogenesis? Formation of ovum. From oogonia. Yeah. From oogonia, that is the mother, gamete mother cell or the germ cell. Yeah, oogonia cells. Oogonetic cells. So let us see how it forms the ovum. Alright, by the process of meiosis. Clear? Same thing. Let us see. Akiba lawla cho puberty akiban hai ho oogonia pen kha uma bangkhat fetus ha tampi ki form ta abana puberty kha puberty masanga kha cha holden unchin ki arrest unchin puberty a hit hidu changa kha the formation of oogenesis started again when they reach puberty. Clear? And then the meiosis, cell division will start. Let's see. Oogenesis. Started oogonia. That is in the fetus. oogonia cells. So same thing, they will differentiate first by mitosis. This is just a short period mitosis differentiation so that they can form more cells. So we have primary oocyte. Form the primary oocyte it is inside the primary follicles, remember? Follicular stimulation hormone FSH they form and develop na. So primary oocyte follicle sungaon a follicle te bang chiki form granulosa cells ki form male. So primary oocyte now let's start meiosis, reduction of the chromosome number. They'll form secondary oocyte. Now, what happens is that the difference between the spermatogenesis and oogenesis, that here, when the primary oocyte, by meiosis forms a secondary oocyte, there is the division, there is an equal, unequal division, equal way. So spermatogenesis is equal division, unequal division. So what happens is that it will have the first polar body, tiny polar body secondary oocyte tiny polar body ki form here first shaka. And then now meiosis 2. Here secondary oocyte, don't forget this is the stage where the 14th day after the menses. Remember, 14-day ovulation ovulation, the formation of the release of the ovum from the ovary on the 14th day of menstrual cycle, secondary oocyte. Graphian follicle, it burst out. Alright, it burst out, and then the ovum, the secondary oocyte comes out on the 14th day. Ovulation only. Ovum, secondary oocyte release ni. By meiosis 2 we form ovum, or we also call oocyte. And if this is fertilized as sperm, then it will become zygote. So now if we see the structure, just like in the textbook, let's see how features are oogonia tampi omu. So oogonia pincha bangza 46 here, 46 in number chromosome. That is 2n to 46 2 and 46 as actually n 23 23 into 2 46. So we call it 2n. This one is n. This is 46 2n. 2n n pin 23 and 2 into 20 46 So 46 ka chromosome in to a primary oocyte aki form what happens is that puberty ki form ta mo by puberty kumsom ni thomonita. So primary oocyte form ki panta. For bangzaita de la migraine primary oocyte, if you remember how much primary follicles 60,000 to 80,000 why 60,000 to 80,000 why ting laga ovum khat cha on por khede jo dang ting chu steady pen on por khede. So why primary oocyte laga what happens is that now it will undergo the first meiosis primary oocyte. So the first meiosis secondary unequal division of the kachibela mole. So unequal division will occur. Secondary oocyte to have one first tiny polar body and secondary oocyte together. This is unequal division of primary oocyte. This is here unequal division. So we have the first secondary oocyte and the first tiny polar body. Meiosis 2. Meiosis 2. Meiosis 2 the next unequal division will occur ovum and the second tiny polar body. What is the significance of these polar bodies? They don't have the the cytoplasm, the nutrients, the food which is enough to go out and meet the sperm. So ovum pen for chromosome number 46. Meiosis of Nilo 46 lady. meiosis sigal gal chang akha 23 hita dicha n hita male n that is 23 hai kha 2 n line hai kha n hita ovum le 23 that is n male ovum chu khat chaw mo sperm chu li ovum chu khat chaw has 60,000 to 80,000 primary oocytes para kha ovum khat chaw chu ki form that will be released every month more so why ki gale thai siam di and then hai ki fertilize le kha zygote on swap so this is the process of what oogenesis formation of ovum from the oogonia clear tiny polar body te bang chi form primary oocyte in kha unequal division because of the unequal division the primary oocyte will form two cells one big one which is the most of the important things which is necessary for the fertilization cytoplasm are rich more everything so bigger so this one will be thrown out in a like thrown out at the secondary oocyte meiosis 2 again sama it is equal to equational division so there will be no more reduction it will still be the same more 23 secondary oocyte bir kha ovum on swap di clear now hai kha meiosis 2 cell division if you see meiosis 2 there are prophase 1 prophase 2 and metaphase 2 anaphase 2 telophase 2 abe male so hi meiosis the whole meiosis 2 division is not completed yet this is the ovum if it is let's say now if it is fertilized this ovum will have the nucleus will have their chromosomes right if it is fertilized now here it is arrested is a whole point more arrested at meiosis 2 stage let's say prophase more prophase we have 1 we have 2 the arrest pot if it is fertilized sperm on paita with their chromosome that is in the nucleus if it is fertilized then only meiosis 2 the whole division stage will be completed thì xem mà ha complete nai lo chu complete nai lo to complete pan xem chu hai sperm sunga kha chromosome mum di chu hai le ovum sunga le chromosome mum di chu hai ta hon ki thwa ngai hon ki mix nai we chu ma le all right so they mixed up and their chromosome will be exchanged here chromosome on extension like how bang zygote on it 2 and 23 plus 23 becomes 46 so that is why we said in the ovum meiosis 2 is not completed now meiosis 2 will be completed after it is fertilized by the sperm prophase 2 aparaha they'll have metaphase 2 male metaphase 2 will have anaphase 2 crossing over telophase 2 cell division 11 plus 11 why think it complete jang yes now it is done that means there is extension of chromosomes and extension of genetic material nanule ne pa egg cell to sperm cell it is the hormone ki mixed so you are an offspring which is similar to your parents not identical right let's look at LA talk again sabang adang te kha yellow kha uterus sabang ma uterus kha it has perimetrium outside myometrium kha smooth muscle sadimo endometrium kha inner lining uterus eka ki fertilize ngele haya onom de janga kha it will prepare for the endometrium to be thickened and that is why we need progesterone right and then ovum body fimbria infundibulum and then here isthmus and polarization of fertilization will take place here in the fallopian tube the sperms will enter from the vagina go to the uterus and will meet here clear and then adang te chu apoimo chu omlo in chin mons pubis de kha bangkachi they are like what? Fatty tissues more, female reproductive organ labia majora fleshy folds, and then paired folds, atung pair mention bana, clitoris pen finger like structure atunga mention a sensitive region pen more, sensitive region hinjin abana hymen two hymen only in a vagina there's a outer membrane covering, which is known as hymen. It is broken during the first intercourse. Intercourse le chite, coitus le chite, sex le chite. Intercourse, C-O-U-R-S-C, intercourse. There is a myth that people used to believe like religion lampak Islamic chikong hilaw le new khat like mawgen siya na dong ito aloma ken khat traditional orthodox somay to tell him mommy orthodox somay to ano may tebak a hymen no aki anaki break zole mo like hymen ng correct siya kan so there will be blood, right? To the first intercourse waka blood new khat po de jo sa hymen ki break e jang ka hey we have some people orthodox stand hey aki break zole a virgin non lo hi mo virgin to virgin non lo ma hi virgin non lo e jang ka ziting ka de lo chu mo. But the thing is that the hymen can be broken in different various ways. Not only intercourse, like those who are like sports person, more cycling, horse racing. If you that vigorous exercise, hymen broken, and then why if it is broken, that doesn't mean that she is not virgin, right? So why is that is a myth that you should be aware of. Hymen is broken during the first intercourse. Blood it doesn't mean that this is the indicator that she or she is not. C is virgin or not. Why? It is not an indicator. Here. So it is clearly written in the textbook that hymen, in some women the hymen persists even after the coitus. In fact, the presence or absence of hymen is not a reliable indicator of virginity or sexual experience. Clear? And then after that, next, last in female reproductive system we have mammary glands. Mammary glands is a characteristic of all female mammals. Mammals breast paired breast it contains of so many tissues and fats, glandular tissues plus fats. So how is the milk secreted? Milk is secreted from which, and the sequence we need to know why a sequence ichile amasape lobes. So mention lobes the big dando mo lobes alum tam pure mention why pen 15 to 20 mammary lobes no sungama mammary lobes. It contains lobes cells or mention why a cells they have cluster or cluster of cells. Let's say this is one cluster, this is another cluster. Cluster of cells known as alveoli. To alang sali alveoli of lungs on the mole which is under a black structure alveoli like a cells inside the mammary lobes, 15 to 20 mammary lobes. So lobes alveoli lobe for example a lobe. So mammary lobes they will secrete milk. Yeah, they'll start secreting the milk, and then white milk storage alveoli store. And this will form and open into a mammary tubules. Tubules, mammary tubules. So all these tubes will come. Tubules. White tubules each of them will form and join into a duct known as mammary duct. Mammary duct one key form one key joint Habana mammary duct. Several mammary ducts will form a wider ampulla. alian zo dewa kha ampulla on form chin ampulla pin kha will be connected to the anoi nipple ban chera kha Dactyrophorus duct and sequence, and then nipple and milk secreted out a sequence. Mammary lobes 50-20 grape-like structure alveoli, that is where they started secreting the milk, and all this will join into the tubules. The tubules will form a common duct, and then the duct will join to the wider region known as ampulla, and then wider region lactiferous one duct. It will go to the common duct known as lactiferous duct and go to the nipple, and milk will be secreted out. That is where the milk is sucked out by the baby. Clear? So textbook entering. So breast ka, if you see here we have rib cage from here, rib cage. Here rib cage. Rib cage how we have muscles in between the ribs. We have pectoralis major muscle. This pectoralis major muscle in kha a breast pain kha na rib akha cha kha banga kibet sak hayam lo le kha kibet thelo demo. So this is just one a kibet thelo so that it is get stuck with the muscles of your ribs. So this is important. Pectoralis major muscle, and then we have so many fats and tissues. Mammary lobes, so many 15-20 mammary lobes, and inside we have alveoli where the milk is produced. It goes out to the mammary duct, ampulla, lactiferous duct, and nipple. So this is about the milk which is secreted. The milk which is secreted. The first baby milk habang kicheta. Colostrum. What is it known as? Colostrum. The first baby milk from the mother, which contains antibodies, which is very important to maintain their immune system. So that immune system will be strong, because they are babies, they come out of the world, and then so many disease, environmental factors come into play. They have to as our body antibodies a secret masapin yellowish navy color white penilo masapin penaha noitu masapin yellowish shading chin antibodies only antibodies ka IZ tampium antibodies the IgZium. So in that way that contains the antibodies IgA, which is very important for their immune system. So now kapya nga pa dahil colostrum don khalok de ile tanwa kha cha immune system de ha lo thei mo aisa ka first milk pen so important, right? The mother immune system pa no then lama kha ka shoglo khat kha ay ovary kha si ovary de lama gen dan da wa bangchi blood vessels, stage of blood vessels, primary follicle, primary follicle apada kha asunga primary oocyte mo granular cells or a dark pin kha asunga kha primary oocyte cha, and then it becomes bigger, secondary follicles, and then tertiary follicle cells it is pushed to the corner. So we have now the entry of the fluid from the ovary so we have antrum, which is fluid filled, and this contains becomes mature to form the Graafian follicle, and here we have the secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte, or aka also ovum, it is released on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle because of the LH hormone surge. Ovum is released, and when it is released, the remaining structure corpus luteum kichia bana hayaka yellowish structure, which will produce progesterone hormone to maintain the endometrium of the uterus, and then we have corpus albicans, whitish color, we have degrade. And same thing here. Fetal life umlo, puberty kipat mo. Unequal division, equal division. Meiosis to 1 and 2 it occurs. We have 4 sperms, we have 1 ovum, and 2 polar bodies which are useless. Clear? Primary oocyte, secondary oocyte, primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, spermatids, 2 spermatozoa. Only this part is known as spermiogenesis because they differentiate, they change in the structure and shape and size, but the whole process is known as the formation of spermatozoa from spermatogonia why khabang spermatogenesis is elma haki galchok pin kha spermiogenesis why difference le thei a secondary oocyte like release na pin kha on the 14th day that is known as what ovulation. Clear? Ovum structure likha annex kha kisodi mo the zona pellucida corona radiata layer somdi why kha banga sperm kha acrosome enzymes and it will break that because they have enzymes. The sperm has enzymes, so it will break through the corona radiata to zona pellucida. Yeah, to ovum kha again pensi a sperm in alu changa kha hai corona radiata to zona pellucida alu thena dinga kha acrosome in kha enzymes they secrete a head part of the sperm pin kha mo, and so that it enters only one khat chok enter dang te kha ki block ta cha why a reason te kha nek bang khada next topic in leuchin bang jaga ki block dang te and fertilization kha ko ya omdi ampula is must reason the fertilization topic in leuchin abana menstrual cycle chu ka bol chu hi 19c developing follicle ovary amole primary secondary tertiary Graafian follicle secondary oocyte is coming out yellowish the remaining one corpus luteum and or corpus albicans I on 14 day nya kha LH kha sang lo cha hai kha na bang khara pa dei chu brain apada mo pituitary hormones kichi so LH for 14 day there 14 13 14 15 14 day sang engine ai kha ovulation kichi on the 14 day LH starts ovulation a process of formation of follicle kha it is because of what FSH yeah hai muna kha blue pen kha sang voi mo le sang hai pen kha sang ai chu LH so sang lom mo le and then ha hon sang to chu 14 day ne LH ka and then it slowly degrades 14 day of your menstrual cycle mens ne ni ani som le li ni ya mo le kha follicular phase le ki menstrual cycle la progesterone to estrogen chu ngai na sang to le lin chin so that is how tun here progesterone hai asa sang am di bang jaga chile corpus luteum in progesterone produce te chumole so ovary kha progesterone kha sang ai jak chu endometrium pin kha he kha endometrium chu uterus ai pin kha athik ngai chu because what we are preparing for the thinking that the sperm will fertilize the egg and will have embryo in the uterus why de kha he kha sang to endometrium kha hon thik awanga kha ken khati kha akitek nai lote or fertilization om lo le chu kana lo changa kha pangstogin ki prepare le kha there is no embryo no fertilization no zygote then it will come out as endometrium pin kha blood ngena ki bol ha male blood lining te kha it will come out as mens again on the 29th day hai tinga kha thik deu azak chu fertilization om deu om lo do ki thei lo male ovary zo che kha ha kan thik de and then mens will start occurring again. So this is what is happening in the ovary with the help of the pituitary hormones. So uchidan the engine female reproductive system. So we have what pair of testes, pair of ovaries. In the pair of testes, we have seminiferous tubules, we have spermatogonia inside, and we have sperms which is produced, and it comes out of rich testes, vasa efferentia, abana epididymis, a vas difference, abana glands, seminal vesicle, bulbourethral, to prostate, lubrication to fructose calcium te tong porhia, hoika semen kichi. And then sperm is produced from the spermatogonia by process of meiosis, well, a primary and secondary spermatocyte, and we get 4 sperms in one spermatogonia. Ejaculation on 200 and 300 million sperms both more, and one is only successful in fertilizing the egg. A human female ale to pair some kit, 2 ovaries, left and right, hakaraha, ovum khat podzel, hakaraha, ovum khat podzel, more right and left ovary. And then it comes out. How does it comes out? Chile follicles dekha ki uma para tampium tau, but the puberty it start again. Primary follicles ka 60,000 and 80,000 om why khadang ting kha sia engine khat pen chok de ki prepare ma. And then primary oocyte pin kha inside the primary follicle, right? And then tertiary follicle or Graafian follicle inside we have secondary oocyte. why on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle ahon pot here why process of release of the ovum or the secondary oocyte ovulation kichi, and that is because of the FSH hormone male. And then after that it comes out, and then what happens is that the oogonia forms a secondary oocyte, and then meiosis ka complete long. Pangchando completely chile ovum pain ka sperm to fertilized ka on completely meiosis will be completed when it is fertilized and form the zygote. So this is like the whole summary of the male and the female reproductive system, and where do they meet? Ampulla is much reason of the fallopian tube. Kwaya ovum pin ana carry to ana saktu pin ka fimbria of the bang infundibulum part aka fimbria pin ka finger like projections pin ka on the 14th day aka ovum pin ka sakto, and then it goes and stay in the isthmus region, and the sperm will go to the vagina, cervix, uterus, and will meet in the same place because they can swim. Motility of the sperms they bang chiran de wakit here actually a sperm te healthy lo wale ken khate kha lut zo lo tung zo lo le kha low sperm count chi why the so many like reproductive problems, some more health problems ya kha maybe like zu kho ha donya hi lo le like maybe products tobacco products yam ya kha ma hi lo le genetic yam mo ki thei ke so ya kha ken khate kha ta ne thei lo mo. So testosterone level hormones li ahar ngai, estrogen tele ahan ngai, it should be balanced, all right. So that for that we need to have lots of balanced diet, more like nutrients, vitamins, proteins, so that our hormones will be doing well. Hilo le chu sperm le kha tungzo lo hilo le set mo, and that is where we find so many married couples cannot have a child, right? So mostly to fertilization ale to pasaltia kha to numata XX pasaltia XY. Ta pasaltia kha tun awai pin bang chromosome pin bang ana hoi do bang hitale awai pin bang hoi do bang hitale X pin to X pin hi khaden de chu khada ta no me ne me dimo. So that is why it needs to be healthy, X to Y jang kha male chu ma a female child. Fertilization ale begin thau de chu ya mo. So it's done the winsin so problem leta matam the mala prostate cancer bang cancer chu hong leom thi. So those, and then so this is the end of the reproductive system, right? Thank you. Stay blessed, take care, God bless everyone.